I'm so honored to have Roland Legg here, one of my fellow coaches who is just making such a transformational difference in the world today. In today's world, discusses different topics of relevance in contemporary society in light of mindfulness and being grounded and present in the moment. So as I said, I'm truly honored to have Roland Legg here. He's a spiritual coach. He works with individuals, couples, and groups to balance masculine and feminine energies. As a spiritual life coach, he creates a safe space for clients to reveal their strengths and discern the areas of their lives they want to improve. He has studied through the Enneagram Institute and is a graduate of the Deep Coaching Institute and the Shift Network. He is a member of the International Enneagram Association and the International Coaching Federation. Roland helps you find your vision. He helps you let go of the petty dreams of the ego and develop a deep connection to the spirit that made you. Roland enables you to uncover the courage and wisdom to follow your dreams. He helps people to become more spirit-centric, more visionary, more bold, more at peace with themselves, and in greatest alignment with their highest purpose. Thank you so much for being here on our podcast today, Roland Legg. If there's anything you'd like to add to your bio, please let me know.
It's perfect, Isla.
Okay,
Perfect.
wonderful,
Perfect.
wonderful. And to start off today, we'll take a few minutes to talk about how the meditation went for each of us. If you'd like to start, that would be wonderful. In terms of talking about the experience of meditating.
I actually even did a longer meditation this morning. Meditation,
Great.
breath work, and I sort of see them as combined things you do. Are
Mhm.
really important for me to just calm myself down, to quiet my mind, to become aware of my body, to be aware of my emotions that are constantly shifting. So again, it's always bringing me back into what I call presence, bringing me back into what I call my God self, my spirit self, my true self. It helps me to connect with all of who I am. And we learn so much through our bodies, through our emotions, through a quiet mind. And I have a very busy mind. So it plays a crucial role in helping me to stay grounded and self-aware. So again, anytime I do this, I find it really, really helpful. And just, if you're doing just before you're going to do any presentation, like talking with you today, Isla, it's just good to quiet the mind down. So I'm really open to what's really meant to happen today.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's so nourishing to hear about your experience meditating. I feel like many of us can relate to that experience of having a busy mind, going from one thing to another, having these inner conversations. And just to reflect on the meditation, I too felt like it was very grounding. And I think if I can use the word healing, it just, there's this sense of I can slow down life, that life doesn't have to be this constant move from one thing to the next, that I was able to just sit in the moment, literally and figuratively. And it felt very nourishing to partake in that 5 minutes of meditation before the podcast. So thank you for participating in that with me. And Roland and I will be talking about the Enneagram today. And before I start into that topic, I would like to introduce the topic through a poem. And I'll later discuss the tie-ins to the Enneagram topic. And for those who are hearing that word for the first time or don't know too much about it, you're in the right place. That's what we're here for today, talking all about it, looking at it from all perspectives. So thank you. And I'll introduce the topic again with this poem, and I'll invite the bell to start. And feel free anytime you listen to the bell just to take 1 or 2 deep breaths, just to reground yourself. Okay, the poem I found is called Note to Self-Work by Bo Sia. Get there before sundown. Feed yourself only with what nurtures. Let the process of shedding be joyous in its eternity. Create and call it creation. Tell lashing out that it isn't worthy of your song. Beat the drum instead of yourself. Beat the drum when hands want to become fists. Beat the drum to get beneath the surface. Jump off the bed. Welcome waves in the tub. Cook as if dancing. Be a metaphor when literal is too much. Cry into your journal as if it's rising's way. Praise into your journal like you ain't apologizing to no one for shine. Claim into your journal, for there's no need to die waiting. Be too vibrant for lingering on those who neglect. Too awe to keep treating yourself so poorly. Be more than knowing. In case you need encouragement, I must share that memory you tucked away. Scared you'd be laughed at, trying for more than drowning spectacularly. That shows you beyond the bad beats. Who you were before that season you've forgotten. To remind that every victory counts and that you're one step closer today. So thank you for listening to that poem. I chose it because it speaks of self-development and that choice that we make each day to move ourselves forward or in a certain direction towards something, hopefully, that we aim for, hopefully in the best of circumstances. So this poem to me speaks of growth and the idea that we have a choice every day to wake up and put ourselves in the direction of where we think would be most helpful for growth and self-understanding. So to me, it relates to the Enneagram because the more awareness we have of ourselves, the better off we'll be in terms of pointing ourselves in a direction where we think that there will be growth. It seems promising, and just want to add that growth does not mean that there's no failure, that many times there is a lot of failure on the way to growth. So it's important to recognize that each moment, each day, we have a chance to reorient ourselves and develop ourselves and realize a different direction or a step further in the direction that we were already on, in the direction of growth. So with that, I just like to introduce more in depth the topic of the Enneagram. And feel free to jump in, Roland, if there's anything
That was a great poem. It was perfect.
wonderful.
I love a copy of it or a place to know where I can find it because it really describes the journey of self-awareness, personal growth, spiritual growth. And I agree with you. It's all about, yeah, putting ourselves out every day, and we're not always going to get it right, but that's part of growing.
Right, right, exactly. I'm glad that you're right there with me, so to speak, in terms of that feeling. Um, Roland and I are both coaches, and we see the ups and downs, and support people through the journey. And it is very, it's a sacred journey, and it's one that even when we're not necessarily going in the direction where we had intended, we still learn lessons, and those lessons are very poignant.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So and for self-development.
Yeah.
So to start off with, I'd just like to introduce the topic of the Enneagram a little more in depth. And that I maybe since you're more well versed in it, Roland, like if you might like to give our listeners a little bit of an understanding of
Mm-hmm.
what the Enneagram is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, the Enneagram dates back hundreds and hundreds of years. The symbol dates back even farther than that.
Mhm.
But it's really today it's become mixed with modern psychology. But it's all about getting back into presence. And when we say presence, that means that we are really grounded and we're aware. So I sit in my body. I have my feet on the ground right now. I don't have my feet crossed. It's very easy to do that. But I'm aware, okay, what am I feeling in my body? What are the sensations I'm feeling in my body? And then the emotions. I think a lot of us get confused between what we think are our emotions. They're often what we think they are, not what they are, because emotions are constantly shifting. So being aware and then just learning to quiet the mind. Okay, the mind is sort of like the transmitter with something that is greater, whatever you want to call that.
Mhm.
Life force, God, oneness, universe, doesn't matter. But it's all about so that we're just really open to being connected with um, everything on this planet and out into the universe, but also really connected with all parts of ourselves. And that helps us to gain awareness of what we need to be doing in our lives.
Mhm.
And it helps us to get beyond our egos, which is our egos are necessary. We'd be dead without our egos, but to know that we are way more than our egos. So the Enneagram is a tool to find a way of freeing yourself from those old stories you tell yourself, the lies about you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not handsome enough, not beautiful enough, and get into the core of who you are, believing that we're all born into this world with some sense of purpose, that we have an important role to play on this planet, whatever that may be. And the Enneagram is a tool that says there's 9 different ways of being in this world. And we come into this very early in life, probably within the first year of our lives.
Mhm.
So they call the 9 types. So there's the 1, which is called the reformer. The 2 is the helper. The 3 is the achiever. The 4 is the individualist. The 5 is the investigator. The 6 is the loyalist. The 7 is the enthusiast. The 8 is the challenger. And the 9 is the peacemaker. Now, we don't have time in this podcast to go through all 9, but they're all qualities we all humans need to live well on this planet. And all of us have some place we get stuck in when we get under stress. So the Enneagram points you to the box you already put yourself in. And the thing is, the Enneagram is to help you get out of that box and access the 9 different energies which we need to be healthy. So once you find out your personality type, then that starts to give you clues of when you are getting more and more constricted in your personality. We're getting more tight. It's like, yeah, more constricted you get, the more limited limits you have. So when you're not constricted, you have access to all 9 energies and you're going to be healthier. As you get more stressed out and more constricted, you get more and more stuck in your personality type. And so you really miss out on a lot of opportunities in life. You struggle much more. Life is much more heavy. It's much more difficult. And you have a really hard time knowing what you really, really, really want. So that's like so the Enneagram is a starting place is finding your personality. And it can be fun. It'd be really annoying to people at parties because you go around, oh, he's a 3. Oh, he's not a very healthy 8. And that can be fun, but it is really of little use. I mean, it's a good place to start. It's that curiosity to understand what makes me tick. That's a big thing for the Enneagram. Why am I the way I am? Why do I get along with certain people better than others? Why do I struggle with certain issues and others don't? Why do I hate standing in front of a crowd? Why do I love standing in front of a crowd? So it gives you some clues, like a map, to help you see where you are as how you're doing health-wise. And it's not, the other thing is, it's not judgmental. It's just saying, oh, I'm getting stuck in my box. I don't need to do this. And the more aware you get of this, then the easier you are able to stop when you're getting triggered. The sooner you can discern you're getting triggered, then you can have a chance to stop it and change it and do something different. So that's where like mindfulness, meditation, body work, and breath work come in, because they help you to attune to what's really going on and to learn the difference between what is when your true self is speaking versus your inner critic or your ego is speaking. And so it's about freeing you and liberating you. And when you're finding that flow, when you're really present in your 3 centers of your intelligence, which I talk about, your body, sensations, your heart, your emotions, your yearnings, and then the quiet mind, you will just inwardly know what you need to be doing, where you need to be going, who you need to be hanging out with, what do you need to be learning. Doesn't mean life is going to be easy, but you're going to have a better sense of direction. And you will find, I think you'll find just greater flow in your life. And that's been my experience of it.
How
And,
beautiful.
and it's just made such a difference in my life. I wanted to share it with others. And then you do Enneagram combined with some form of coaching. It's a really great way for people to access what's going on really inside them. And it also helps them to discern what are the areas they need to work on, and to do it without judgment. That's a biggie. Doing this without judgment. So if you don't judge yourself, you're going to be less likely to judge others.
Wow, that's a very powerful statement, right? It falls in line with, if we're more self-compassionate, then we can give compassion to others. So when we know that feeling inside, there's that system of thought.
Yeah.
I actually have the diagram, the Enneagram drawing. If you are okay with me doing a bit of a screen share for a little, that way our audience can see it visually. So here is the Enneagram, and as observed, these are the different personality types that Roland has described.
And sometimes teachers give them slightly different names, but they're essentially the same thing. Also, it's a map of how the energy moves, because one thing is that the going around this, you have the inner triangle, which represents, they call the law of 3, but it's sort of this sense of, if you connect it with Christianity, it connects to the Trinity, but this law of 3, and then the hexad, which is the law of 7, it's all about movement. Where our energies are always constantly moving and shifting. They're ever changing. And So the important thing is that as you become more conscious of how this energy is flowing, is it flowing well? Is it getting stuck? The Enneagram helps you to know if you're getting healthier. When I say healthier, that means you're getting less constricted in your personality. You're
Mhm.
getting freer from your inner critic, which is that negative voice inside you that is trying to keep you safe by keeping you to the status quo, keeping you to what it knows. So anytime you try something different, your inner critic's going to make a big stink and start telling you, think, oh, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, why would you even consider doing something new? That's dangerous, you're stupid. Though that's kind of what the inner critic's voice is, usually loud, kind of aggressive, in a rush, versus the voice of your inner self, your true self, your God self, whatever, is much more gentle, still very strong, but you
Mhm.
sort of learn to know, is this the voice of my true self or is this the voice of my inner critic? And so this symbol just represents how things move. So for each type, there's what we call the direction of integration, which is the direction you're moving in greater health. And then there's the direction of stress we tend to go to when we're under stress. Neither are good or bad, they're just different. The integration just shows that you are getting less and less constricted in your type, but also the direction of stress is, it's kind of like an emergency backup to prevent you from getting worse. So if you stay, then you're not going to go down seriously a level of health. Versus if you do, then it's going to be harder and harder for you to get to the place of finding that inner peace within you. So it's a constant, and it's just how this energy is constantly moving and shifting. We all have what I would call, and then, okay, then I'll add in that there's levels of health. So there's 9 levels of health. The top 3 levels, like you're almost like Jesus or Buddha or Gandhi, or and you're really at peace with the world. So the top 3. So most of us probably may have moments of maybe getting into levels 1, 2, or 3. And then most of us are in the average levels, which are 4, 5, and 6. And then 7, 8, and 9 are and that's, those numbers have got nothing to do with these 9 types. And
Okay.
so the 9, then the bottom levels are, you're probably mentally ill. So most of us who are doing this kind of work are probably in the average levels. And then so that, but learning your type will help you to know what is your level of health, and your goal is to get as free as possible in connecting with your true self. And that's through connecting to the wisdom of your 3 centers of intelligence. So the map, the symbol is a map there to help you understand how this energy is moving and shifting. And then the other thing, when you discover your type, you will
Mhm.
find that you have a wing. So like I am a type 6, the loyalist, and I have a wing of 5. So it means, so if I found myself on this map, I would be close to the 6 and further from the 5, but I would be closer to the 5 than I would be to the 7. So it means I have some of the qualities of the type 5. Now, to get healthier, I want to get healthier in the type 7 because the assertive energies are the types I struggle the most with. And so I've had to say the learning to fly with both my wings. But that's an area that I've had to really work on, just because I don't feel as comfortable with that energy. But the more I can learn to enjoy that and use that particular energy, the healthier I'm going to get.
Wow, that's very beautiful. Learning to fly with both your wings.
And as you get healthier in your type, you're going to get healthier in all 9 types.
Mhm.
But like if you go and explore what type you are, you're going to probably find a number you're pretty strong in. And there's going to be a couple that you're not very strong at all. And then there's some that sort of somewhere in between. So one is that by looking at your direction of integration and stress will help you to get healthier in the types that you're not as strong in. And this is going to help you in all aspects of your life. it's clearing out all the cobwebs out of our body. And it's having so everything in our bodies is the energy is moving freely. And when you do your mindfulness, that helps you to allow that energy to move freely. And it helps you to get beyond your ego and your inner critic.
Very
Not
beautiful.
to bash your ego or your inner critic, because that's part of who you are, but it's to remember you are way more than what they are. And I gave my inner critic a name. I call him Jimbo. And so I have conversations with Jimbo and also little Roland to sort of just have be a team that helping all aspects of myself to realize I'm an adult man. I can make my own choices. I have some wisdom. I know what's best for me. I don't have to live in fear.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, I think we've observed this diagram. Are we ready to go back to
Yeah,
just the two of us? Okay,
yeah.
wonderful, wonderful. You did talk a lot about, self-knowledge and moving in certain directions and that whole process. Um, we don't have so much time left. Um, so I think if you were to give maybe one word of wisdom to our listeners in terms of starting off with the Enneagram and just kind of getting started, how would you kind of going about advising those who are listening to really start immersing themselves in this sort of knowledge? Would you suggest working with a coach or starting off and individually researching this subject? How would you go about advising someone to gain more self-knowledge?
Well, I think it depends on it depends what you're being drawn to. There's certainly some good introductory books to the Enneagram that might be a place to start.
I have
There's
the
Yeah,
one.
that's a really good one to start with because it's kind of fun. It's a good table, good at having your living space, have conversations about Enneagram. So it's a great way to learn about the Enneagram. And
Mhm.
certainly, yes, find a coach that is knowledgeable about the Enneagram is a great tool too. And it's to find reputable sites that are like the Enneagram Institute would be a good site. You can check out my website. You can look through the International Enneagram Association because there's so much. The Enneagram is getting so popular. There's upteen different Facebook pages and Instagram accounts all exploring the Enneagram. Some are very healthy, some aren't. But the key thing is to watch out for is nobody else can tell you what type you are. No one. They can suggest you might want to explore a different type, but they can never tell you who you are. You are the only one that can do that. And I would encourage you, and if you're doing mindfulness work, meditation work, that's going to help you to be more honest about yourself, about as you discern what type you might be. And the other thing is just that if often, not always, but often the type we like the least is often the type we are. And don't rush into typing your finalizing. Just say, okay, here are my top 3 types. And then it's finding someone, if you can learn the Enneagram with someone, or you know someone that's familiar with Enneagram and knows you well, then it's a great way to sort of have some conversation because sometimes we're so close to ourselves that we can't see what others see in us.
Mhm.
And the other key thing is not judging yourself or anybody else and having compassion. As you learn the different Enneagram types, you develop compassion for each type has a struggle. No type is better than the other. They are just different. And any type that's unhealthy is bad news. Any type that's healthy is good news. And you can have a relationship with any type, but again, it depends on their levels of health. Um, so it's look for resources, and you will have received my contact information if you want any suggestions about books or interested in getting some coaching from me. That I'm open to meeting you in a discovery call and give you other suggestions where you can learn other things about the Enneagram. There's going to be a big international conference this summer, July, in San Francisco, called the
Excellent.
International Enneagram Association.
Excellent, excellent. It all sounds very exciting, and it's very hopeful that as people learn more about themselves, we can kind of create small changes in our society
Mhm.
and really impact the way we operate in our world. So I would like to close. I see that the time is really getting down to the end. If it's okay with you, if there are
Mhm.
maybe a few words you'd like to contribute, that's fine. If not, we really have a lot of information that we can use to kind of use as a springboard to understand more about this subject and understand about ourselves. And I'll be posting all of the resources that Roland has mentioned it underneath the YouTube podcast.
Yeah. I just, try it out. If it helps you like it helped me, then great. But there's so many great tools out there. It's finding one that works for you. And for me, this has been one of the best ones I've ever found that helped me to understand what makes me tick and helps me to get healthier and more self-confident. And so I'm very thankful to have this opportunity to talk with you today, Isla.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm truly blessed to have you on this podcast. And thank you so much for going into depth about the Enneagram and having the courage to share your personal journey. As per tradition on this podcast, I like to call out a quality that I find is a superpower in a guest. And in Roland, I see that he's truly, truly caring about each and any individual person, that he's really embracing of anyone who walks in his path. So thank you so much for being on this podcast and sharing your wisdom and your journey and your understanding of how this tool has helped you. I feel like we're all very much set in a way to really find more knowledge and to really become more solidified with our journeys in terms of learning more and understanding more about ourselves. And it's in a very exciting prospect. So thank you so much for being here today and sharing this topic with us.
Thank you, Isla.
Okay, I'll close with the sound of the bell and we'll take some mindful breaths in and out. Breathing in, I acknowledge gratitude. Breathing out, I give this gratitude to the world. Thank you so much, Roland Legg. I appreciate you being here today.